riding buddies. Thought I'd do another controversial video for you and do my pick of the 5 top influential motorcycles. Now, when I say influential, it's got to have changed the world of motorcycling in some way. So this is going to be all based on production dirt bikes. So no works bikes, no team bikes, none of that sort of stuff. Just a bike that any Joe Blog could go out and buy at their local dealership. So sit back and see what I reckon.
My first bike off is the ever-reliable DT1 Yamaha, released in 1968. You could purchase one of these beasts for $580. Straight off the showroom floor, they were not really a competitive bike. They were a great beginner's fun bike. But the thing was, to get anything that was anywhere near competitive back in 1968, you had to go to the Euro bikes. And they were just way, way too expensive. Also too, until the DT1, pretty much you rode modified road bikes. That's what you raced. But in 1968, when the DT1 came out, everything changed. As I said, it wasn't competitive straight off the floor, but you could put a 21-inch front wheel on it, because originally it had a 19-inch front wheel. It was 105 kilos, which in that era was probably a little bit porky, but it's not too bad. You had the auto lube system on it, so it was an oil-injected system. But you also had a 6-speed gearbox. You go and throw a few aftermarket parts at it. You could also get a genuine factory GYT race kit for this thing. And a lot of them got that. You could make them into motocrosses, desert races, enduro bikes, pretty much every form of competition the mighty little DT1 was entered in. It even won some really big races with some big name riders on it when they first came out in 1968. Yamaha put so much effort into this bike and everyone bought one. It was an absolutely massive market success. Yamaha made racing motocross and any form of competition affordable. My next bike up is the 1973 Honda CR125M. The bike pretty much remained unchanged through 73, 74 and 75, just very small minor updates done to the bike. But this bike was the first 125 that you really considered leading into the modern bikes, really. It was a 6-speed gearbox, plenty of horsepower for a 125 back then. Feather light, it weighed about the 85 kilos and was an absolutely amazing little bike. Pretty much back in 1973, anyone that wanted to race in the 125 class raced a Honda CR125. These things won everything around. This was one of the most iconic bikes of the 70s to really transform the world of motocross, especially in the younger age divisions. Race pretty much stock, but also to every aftermarket company in the world built stuff to fit the little CR125. The next bike up is the 1974.5 Mako GPs. Yes, you young fellas out there, back in the 70s, things were changing so fast that they were doing 0.5 models. Every 6 months there was a new model just about. The thing that made this bike so iconic was it was the start of your long travel suspension. Yeah, still not as long as your 13 inches that you have today or 300mm, but for 1974 it was a massive leap forward. They did a 250, a 400 and a 440 in the GP series of bikes. This bike is just one of those special bikes that holds a special little spot in history because of the suspension. Next up, I'm going to go with the Yamaha PW50. This bike was not built for competition, but some of the things that I've seen it do over the years is quite amazing. Also too, I don't think there is any bike out there that holds as much responsibility for getting people on bikes. How many world champions learnt to ride on a PW50. It would be countless. This bike would have to be probably the biggest iconic bike ever made. As I said, it wasn't built for competition, but I remember seeing these things in the 80s with juniors on them, the modified PW classes. They used to be raced in everything. Even today, they still get raced in every form of competition you can think of. The final bike I'm going to put to this list is the 1998 YZF400. This is the bike that started the four-stroke craze, really. Yes, there were competitive four-strokes before this in Hasselberg, KTM, Husqvarna, but they were not in the same sort of category. This was an affordable bike that anybody could go out and buy, and it really opened the floodgates for all the other manufacturers out there to bring out their competitive four-stroke machines. No longer after this bike came out was the four-stroke considered a trail bike. They were now considered full-blown competition machines. And the face of competition would never be the same. So there we have it. That's just a few of the bikes that I think have had the biggest influence on motorcycling through history. Of course, there's so many other bikes that could be added to this list. Just for argument's sake, the Honda Z50s, all the K models in that, the Yamaha YZB series with the first cantilevers, the first of the full floater Suzukis, the first of the RMZ 450s with the fuel injection. There is so many other bikes that have had an impact, but I've just picked these ones as my top. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, and we'll catch you on the next one.